Hello and welcome to Solid Life Fitness. Please visit our website www.solidlifefitness.com and click on the Old Fart Training tab, where you can sit there and see a lot of my nutrition and training video tips and blog posts. So anyway, here I am today talking about casein protein drinks. And the reason I want to talk a little bit about that is a lot of people always ask me, at night, what should be your last meal of the day if you work out, bodybuild, or what have you. And most recently, the last year to 2 years, one of the things that I've been doing is playing a lot more importance in my digestive tract, cleaning it out and keeping it nice and scrubbed out in order for whenever I eat food throughout the day, it is more efficiently digested and absorbed through my body. And the best way to do that, again, is just having a nice, clean digestive tract. So what I've really gotten into is casein protein drinks. And of course, the first question people ask me is, well, why casein? Why not whey protein? Isn't whey protein a lot better quality protein than casein? And the answer to that is not really. Protein powders are no different than things that you do in your ordinary life, like tools. There's a proper tool for the proper job, whether you're working around the house, in your car, or what have you. And protein's the same way. Depending on what you want that protein to do to your body, there's certain types that are better than others at the time that you want to do this. So for example, whey protein, if you want to go ahead and have something right after a real hard workout to replenish the muscles and start repairing them, whey protein's the way to go. Only because it is super fast acting, it starts digesting in minutes, and at the same time has what they call a higher biological value. 104%. As a matter of fact, it is the highest of the protein blends that are out there in terms of biological value. It means it's more efficient. Doesn't necessarily mean it's higher quality. Casein, on the other hand, has a biological value of 77%. And some of the reasons for that is because it is very, very slow digesting in the body. When you absorb casein, what happens is it turns into a gel-like substance that it just slowly goes through your digestive tract. And that's the key, because not only are you sitting, you're getting your protein intake for the entire night while you're sleeping, it is slowly going through your body or intestines and cleaning everything out. Again, the goal is not only to put nutrition into your body, but also clean out your body in order for the next day, whatever you eat, your body can more easily absorb. So that's one of the reasons why I use casein protein powders at night as opposed to whey. Now, at the same time, one of the things that I also like to do is mix it with seeds. And the reason I like to mix it with seeds is that there's no better combination of scrubbing your body out than to put fiber into your diet. The human body needs minimum 30 grams of fiber a day. Unfortunately, the American diet, you rarely even get half that amount. So the way you do that is through supplementation of foods that are high in fiber. One of those things is seeds. What I've got here in front of me is chia, flaxseed, and sesame seed. And I also use hemp seed as well. When you mix your protein shake up, you can use one or all the above. In this case here, I usually like to use a blend of 3. And people ask, well, why 3? Well, each one of them has its own nutritional values. They're all known as superfoods. In other words, very high in fiber, very high in antioxidants, omega-3s, very high in vitamins, and very high in minerals. All important nutrients to put into your body, especially when you're mixing it with protein. But at the same time, each one of them has different values of those categories. So what I like to do is get the best of all worlds by just combining it and making it a blend. Now, another thing that I also like to do, and is very important, is blend it a particular way, and that's extremely important. In front of me, I've got the NutriBullet, which is what I love to use when I do my casein protein drinks, and next to it is the Vitamix, which is also very good. But the NutriBullet, in my opinion, has some advantages over the Vitamix when it comes to mixing seeds. The equivalent to the NutriBullet is also the Ninja, which is pretty good as well. It does basically the same thing, just has a different series of containers and all that, but it's got the same thing. So what I like to do is first break down the shells of the seeds. It's extremely important to break down the the shells, because what happens is if you ingest a seed just the way they are, what's going to happen is your digestive tract is going to spend almost all its time just trying to break through the outer covering. Okay? When you blend the seeds with it being unshelled in the blender with the casein, they're not going to break up as well as if you blend it up before you stick it with the casein. So what I do is go ahead and get one of these smaller containers, which I use strictly for stripping the shell off the seeds, and I just kind of play it by ear. I just put a little bit here, a little bit there, sort of like a cook. Most cooks that have been doing this a long time really don't measure, they eyeball it, and that's what I do. Now if you want to go ahead and do it yourself and eyeball, and measure it, a tablespoon of each should be sufficient. It doesn't take much, because what you want to do is put seeds in your body that will help break down. It's going to be fibrous, it's going to break down, combined with the gel-like casein, and it's just going to completely scrub through your intestines. Also, one of the things that I like to do is buy these seeds in bulk quantities on the internet for one major reason, and that's cost. Typical example is where I live, chia seeds at a regular store, you'll find it for $9 to $12 a pound. I Google it, find a wholesaler that's nearest to me, and the reason I say nearest to me is because sometimes they do charge by the amount of weight that they're shipping to you, and I can usually pick this up for about $5 or $6 a pound, including shipping costs. So you can see I'm saving about 50%. I go ahead, stick it in the NutriBullet. It doesn't take long to blend. And I don't know how well you can see it in the camera here, but you can see here, this is really grainy. The shell's still with it. I've converted this into a powder. It is now ready for digestion immediately when I start drinking the shake. Now the next thing I do is I go ahead and mix my casein with a little bit of ice and water. And the reason I like to use the ice is it just kind of gives it that little frosty feel when you have the shake. It's not necessary. Some people ask me, well, can I put fruits in there? And absolutely. What I like to do when I use fruits is I go ahead and freeze them in the refrigerator. What I do is I'll get bananas and cut them into thirds, put them in a bag. Strawberries, put them in a bag, and when they come out, they're like little ice cube, fruit ice cubes. And all it takes is just a couple of strawberries or a third of a banana, and it's going to give you a nice consistency and a nice flavor. I do use water though, and I do not recommend anything else. People say, well, can I use my favorite fruit juice or whatever? Highly not recommended, only because fruit juices have a tremendous amount of sugar, and I'm sure it's no surprise to most people, if you're listening to this video, then you're into nutrition, that sugar is probably one of the worst things, if not the worst thing that you can put into your body. So I completely stay away from any type of juice. It's not necessary. If you want to give it flavor, put in your favorite fruits, blueberries, strawberries, stuff like that, raspberries. Very high in antioxidants, also has fiber, just adds to what you're doing with the seeds and just makes it that much more nutritious. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of ice. And like I said, not much, it just takes a few cubes. A little bit of water. And the reason I do this sequence is that if I didn't put the ice and water first, and I just threw this in here and then put the casein and then added water, I see that sometimes it tends to clump up down at the bottom, so then it gets harder to mix. So the best thing to do is just use that combination. And sometimes some of the powdery seeds get stuck at the top. Very simple, you just sit there and push it into your container. And as you can see, I use a little bit larger container because casein powder is very thick. It does not mix well. It's very hard to mix with a spoon. That is why you definitely need a blender, because otherwise you'll be drinking clumps of casein powder, not casein powder shake. As you can see here, it is basically a powder. The type of casein I like to use is Dimetize. No real preference other than Muscle Tech and Dimetize. I like the science behind it. When I've done my research, I like the logic that they use as to why they do what they do. What I don't recommend is to go to a store and buy casein blended with other things, because in my opinion, and just my opinion only, is that it's just a waste of money. I just go for the basics. I always go for the basic whey protein, the basic casein protein. You can go to a health food store and find all kinds of proteins that have all kinds of other things added to it that will sit there and tout all kinds of different benefits and all that. And I've tried them all. Have I really noticed anything? Not really. So it's something that I really wouldn't recommend. Just used to scoop this in here. This is going to give me about 24 grams of protein, plenty of amount of protein for the night. Go ahead and fill the container up to the level that the container says it can be filled up, otherwise it will overflow and it can leak out when you're blending it. Tighten it up, stick it in the NutriBullet. I like to give it a few spins only to break up the ice really good. And there you go. That's all it takes. And like I said, this is a power drink that contains about 24 grams of protein, anywhere, depending on how many seeds you used, anywhere between 6 to 10 grams of fiber, which is, like I said, your body needs at least 30 a day. So here in one drink, especially at night, the most important part, when your body's about to rest for 6, 7, 8 hours, you're taking in 1/3 of the daily minimum requirements for fiber. And again, it's to clean that digestive tract out. And the next day, you're ready to go. Anything that you eat, your system is cleaned out. It absorbs the food much easier. It digests the food much easier. And you're just ready to go and get better, more efficient workouts and get better, efficient value out of the meals that you eat. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Bon appetit and have great workouts.